Welcome to my channel, Sunshine Shoulders. Sunshine Shoulders is a channel geared toward the new man and woman who's never been to the Philippines before, but who's contemplating a trip here for slow vacation or to rejuvenate. My 11 years of being affiliated with the Philippines doesn't make me an expert, but it does give me a unique perspective, and I like to offer that to the new man and woman, or anyone really, who can make your trip here safer and more enjoyable. I'm boots on the ground. I'm in the center of all of this. It's for your benefit. I'm not on the edges like a lot of these other vloggers that you hear talking about the Philippines. I live among the locals, and I'm always going to give you the nitty gritty. That's just exactly what I'm seeing, what I'm living, what I'm experiencing. I'm never going to sugarcoat that. I'm not going to start today. Welcome back to my channel, Sunshine Shoulders. Special welcome to my new viewers and subscribers. Thank you for stopping by today. Hope everybody in America had a nice Thanksgiving. I want to talk to you about something that's kind of interesting to the new man and woman who's never been here before, was contemplating a visit here. And that's something that Filipinos call an open society. And that simply means that they feel that there's no question off limits that they can ask you. That there's no part of your life off limits to them. They can ask you anything, even though they're total strangers, you never met them before, never seen them a day in your life. And anybody that's dating a Filipino or married to a Filipino will tell you exactly what I'm saying. And they've already experienced it already. Or if you're chatting or with someone online, she's already asked you a million questions. And this is the first time you start chatting. They all do it, and it makes your head hurt, but you know, I call it meddling, because that's really all it is. You know, in America, some of the things that they ask strangers over here, you could never ask in America. It's just off limits. It's just unacceptable. So one of the big ones over here with me is, you know, when they ask you, you know, are you single, married, divorced? No big deal there. But then if you say divorced, they'll say, well, what happened? They want to know the details of your divorce. Whose fault was it? Did you cheat on your wife, or did your wife cheat on you? You know, how long have you been divorced? See, being cordial and polite over here sometimes is not enough, you know, and being general in your answers, that's only like throwing fuel to the fire. But I've got something for you. I got something that can help you, because they're going to ask you, it's coming. And don't get offended, because I'm telling you now, just to prepare yourself for it. But they'll ask you anything. Well, when did you get here? How long are you staying? Where are you staying? Are you married to a Filipina? Are you going to take her back to the States? Or how many children y'all got together? And I've even been into the grocery store with my girlfriend. I promise you, this is a true story, and people can back it up. You know, by me being a black man, I've heard them ask my girlfriend, can you handle him? Is it true about black Americans? You know, because they'll giggle and they'll laugh about that, but that's something that you would ask somebody that, in America, we'd feel it would be cringy asking somebody that you've been knowing your whole life. But these is total strangers, and they will ask you anything like that. But here's what you do. You are asked a question that's, you know, just makes you uncomfortable, or you just don't want to answer, just say, you know, secret, you know, and that's all you have to say. Just secret, because in their society, that means it's none of your business. And that's going to make them do a 180. It's going to stop them in their tracks, and they'll never ask you a personal question again. But the more general you are, remember, you're throwing fuel to the fire. So don't be general. Don't try to be cordial. Don't try to be polite. Just say secret, and they'll get the hint, and they won't ask you, because they're going to ask you. No questions off limits, guys. And it's going to make you uncomfortable as hell. So don't say I didn't warn you about that. You know, I was trying to find, because, you know, I had done a video on scams in the Philippines, and I was trying to see if there was anything new because I put new scams in the Philippines in the, in the Google search, and, nothing really came up, but something did come up, an article from New Zealand. It was from the New Zealand government. And I tell you what, man, after reading this article, they had the 9 scams to look out for when visiting or living in the Philippines. They're trying to look out to the best interest of their citizens. And you know what the number 1 scam was? And if you don't think I'm telling the truth, just Google new scams in the Philippines and it'll come up. It's the first thing that'll come up, first or second. But the number 1 scam that they warn their citizens visiting here or living here in the Philippines is relationship fraud. And I thought that was interesting, man. I said, man, I want to move to New Zealand because they're really looking after the interests of their citizens. They said in this article, man, I didn't say it. It's a persistent problem in the Philippines. And Filipinos, it's not uncommon for them to enter into a marriage or relationship for financial or immigration purposes. And they said the relationships that are started online are the ones that are most susceptible to manipulation. And man, it blew me away because I said, okay, this is New Zealand. They ain't got nothing on America. I'm going to go on us.travel.state. Surely they're going to have something on there about the Philippines and warning me about these women over here and relationship fraud over here. Nothing. Zip, nada. They've got travel warnings about places don't go in the Philippines, kidnapping, bombings. They'll tell you everything like that. But they will not warn you about coming over here, dating and marrying this little terrorist over here. Because a lot of guys will agree with me when they tell you, man, look. But in America, see, we're different. See, that's one of them things maybe the government says, well, they should know better already. Because remember I told you there's a handbook on the Philippines. Read the handbook before you come over here. But as Americans, I don't think we would have listened anyway. See, because if you tell a guy that, say, hey, and I'm going to be honest with you, had the United States had something like that on their travel warning and said, hey, this is one thing to look out for over in the Philippines, relationship fraud, it's a persistent problem. It's not uncommon for Filipinos to enter into marriages and relationships for financial and immigration purposes. I probably wouldn't have came over here, guys, because I didn't read the handbook. That would have scared me. That would have turned me off, because I grew up in a generation where that kind of stuff turned me off, man. But I couldn't find nothing on the American government sites warning me about relationships over here. And if you talk to Americans, because we're big time suckers over here. I mean, we take it over the head with a hammer in a minute, but we'll argue with somebody when they say, hey man, be careful when you go over there and you meet, a woman over there, because a lot of times it's for the visa or for a better way of life. They'll argue up and down that they're the exception. It's gotten so bad that, see, I really don't like to talk about it, and I'm really not talking about it now. I just found it interesting that the New Zealand government warns their citizens about it, and the United States government doesn't warn their citizens about it. They warn us about everything else in the Philippines, but that, one of the big problems. Remember, there was 9 scams they had. Number 1 was relationship fraud. It's that important to the New Zealand government that they will warn their citizens visiting the Philippines and living here to watch out for relationship fraud. Because I'm going to tell you something. A lot of us right now, we're victims of relationship fraud, but we won't admit it. We'll stay in the relationship just to prove to people it's not a fraud. See, that's the crazy thing about it. The police over here don't want to get involved. The police in America don't want to get involved. Guess why? Because the men are uncooperative. See, even when the writing's on the wall, guys, we won't admit it. It's something with our ego. It's something with our thinking, especially as Americans. We're hard-headed. You know, I tell you all the time, I feel like the Simon Cowell of the Philippines. No matter how many times I tell you that this is scripted over here, that the winner, we already know who the winner is, you won't believe it. This is a reality show. Remember, Simon Cowell told everybody a long time ago, one of the first seasons, whenever, I'll tell you what, when was it that, not Jennifer Hudson. Jennifer Hudson was on the show, but who was the other lady that eventually won it? I can't think of her name right now, but it was that season when Jennifer Hudson was on there. Then it was another black lady, then the black lady who eventually won it, I forgot. And people, they three were in the bottom three out, and I mean, people had a damn fit. And Simon Cowell had to come up and say, hey, look, y'all need to calm down. This is a reality show. This is scripted, okay? And people on American Idol, contestants, they already know it's scripted. But did we listen? Of course not, we didn't listen. We heard him say that, but we didn't listen. We still got mad when the single we thought should win didn't win. We still thought that we were the one dialing in for the winner. No, it's scripted. It's the same thing I feel like when I'm telling you guys, be careful, man. A lot of this stuff is scripted over here. You hearing me, but you don't believe me that you're going to pursue it anyway, see? It took me a long time to figure it out, man, and I don't want to get into it, but I just thought that was interesting, man. I had to tip my hat to the New Zealand government, man. I was like, wow, you know, you would think in 2020, with everything going on, COVID and, you know, everything going on, that I could find something on an American government site warning me about relationship fraud, whether it's in the Philippines or not. But this was specifically for the Philippines. It said for their citizens living and visiting the Philippines. It's a persistent problem over here, they said. And they're in the region. Remember, a lot of Filipinos live and work in New Zealand and vice versa. I had to tip my hat to them, man, because I tell you what, me being the person I am, the shaky, scared, cautious, paranoid guy that I am, if the United States would have told me that, or if anybody would have told me that, I probably wouldn't be here, man, but all I got was the sugar-coated stuff. And I ended up here getting my head busted a couple of times. See, I'm not ashamed to say it because remember, my mistakes have become my secrets, and I share them with you, you know, but don't get on my case. I don't want to hear and see a lot of comments about, well, my wife loves me and this is a true relationship. I'm not saying that, guys, but for every beautiful, sweet, and, you know, relationship that you see on YouTube and Facebook, there's 20 that's went horribly wrong, guys. But that's not what this talk is about. I just wanted to tell you that some countries warn their citizens about relationships over here. See? But as Americans, I don't believe we would have listened anyway. Some of us right now are victims of relationship fraud, but we will stay in the marriage until hell freezes over because we won't want to admit it. We're in denial. This 22-year-old woman loves my 68-year-old crusty butt. You know, it's not for immigration. It's not for financial reasons, see? So thanks a lot for stopping by. Go online and read that, man. The number one scam they tell their citizens to watch out for. It's not third on the list. It's not sixth on the list. It's the number one scam, man. They say watch out for. So thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. If you're in America, it's early. You're just now getting up, or you're probably still in bed. So I'm going to speak to your subconscious mind. When you get up, I want you to go out and help somebody. When you're out there getting your early morning cup of coffee or your newspaper, and you see somebody out in the street, buy them something to eat. Buy them something to drink. Give them a couple of dollars. If you're in the Philippines, it's getting late. It's already dark outside. Before you let your head hit the pillow, please help somebody. Because if I don't know anything else, I know this one thing for sure. When we help other people, we help ourselves. Thank you so much. Stay safe, stay COVID-free, and I'll see you next time.